Hello and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland podcast. I'm Gimli and tonight I'm going to be joined by, first up, he's a man that has almost 3 catchphrases, none of which are catchy or phrasy. It's Danny the GFP.
Oh, you are a horrible human being.
You told me to write it.
You can bite me, you cheeky monkey. That's number 1.
Oh, enough of you already.
Oh, you cheeky monkey. Number 2.
Next up, a man we like to call our grumpy Venezuelan, and we've just signed him up as a regular panel member to this show. It's Vanguna John. Hello, John.
Hola, desde España.
And how are you feeling about coming back for a second week in a row and being part of the team?
I'm fucking shattered.
See, everyone just loves it, don't they?
He's been speaking to us for the last hour and a half before we even started recording. Poor man.
No. I came from the beach specifically for you guys.
I know. We would have had Keith with us tonight, but unfortunately he can't make it. So John has stepped in instead.
But Keith,
he's obviously stuck with Diaby and S.S.C in front of him, no?
Yeah, that's what he said. He saw Diaby in the hospital.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's very true.
He had one leg.
See, what is it for this week? We've had a few people pull out this week. I think we must be losing our pull factor, a bit like Man United without Ferguson.
That's it.
Oh.
I say Gimli out.
Was that? Oh, shut your face.
Oh, you bitch.
Right. Next up is a fan's favourite and a chocolatey voice superstar stepping in for Lord Hillwood this week because he can't make it. It's FK. Hello, Mr. Fuckanage.
Good evening, boys. Very, very good to be back.
The chocolatey voice master is back.
Yeah, it's smooth tonight. It's smooth. I've been practicing with my tones before the session started.
Because that's what the ladies like.
Yeah, but
he has a voice that rivals Barry White.
We've actually agreed to sell off. We can get people to write to us and say what they want you to say, and we will be selling them off at £5 a pop.
Yes, they will.
That sounds like a good plan.
And you're getting none of the money.
Either way. But we'll move on then, and our final guest tonight, and joining us is a Bergkamp Wonderland first competition winner. It's Armchair Gooner, but we know him as Mr. Raul Stokes.
That's me. Thank you for the wonderful introduction, and I'm very pleased to be here with you guys this evening.
Is that a Bristolian accent I hear?
It is. It's a raging farmer-like Bristolian accent, one that your listeners are going to have to endure, I'm afraid.
What did he say?
I didn't say much there, my lover.
No, anyone?
It was just a noise.
It was just blare, white noise.
We're going to pay for that later.
I know it. You could imagine all the people from Bristol that are going to be coming on saying, "Oh, our Grutlash."
Yeah.
We've got an army in Bristol, so you don't want to aggravate us.
They've got one tank.
So many jokes, so little time. But we'll move on. We were going to discuss the Asia Tour, but we put out a little mini pod last night covering Urawa Reds game, and I am right on pronunciation with that because we were speaking to our man from Japan, Colin Smith, yesterday, and he's on the podcast. It lasts how long, Danny? About 20 minutes?
20 minutes.
And it says all about what's going on in Asia, and it's just something, if you don't want to listen to this, or if you started listening to this and thinking, I haven't got an hour to spunk away, just go and listen to the other one, because it's 20 minutes and, you know, a bit lighter for you. But first of all, I want to touch on the back four situation, and I know Thomas Vermaelen is going to be out until at least the start of the season, and I've heard today that it could be actually a lot longer, that the actual injury could, be a lot worse than they've made out. I know Koscielny is also out through injury at the moment, and Nacho Monreal is also going to struggle to make the first game of the season. So with all this in mind, guys, do we buy a new defender, and in what position? I'll go straight to the newbie. I'll go straight to James.
Short answer, yes, we do, unquestionably. I think if we've let Giroud leave and we're short on injuries, then it'd be catastrophic to go into the new season without at least one new addition in that area.
What do you think? Do you think it should be a centre-back or?
Centre-back primarily. You could argue we're covered positionally at both full-back areas quite well. I mean, there's Mikel that can come in at left-back if we need him to as well. But centre-half more so than any other, I'd say we definitely need to look at someone.
And John, what do you think? Do you think that we should go out and buy a new centre back?
Well, I think we're probably in for Williams, aren't we, from Swansea? They've made moves to go ahead and replace him with a possible signing. I forgot his name, but they're signing a center back already. I think they're probably already preparing, and they know that he's off.
I see. But do you not think it would be better to get someone who's a little bit versatile? Say how Jan Vertonghen is, dare I say it, shut up the road.
Christ.
You know, a player that can be chucked about in the defence and, you know, maybe cover a few positions and...
Well, you're looking at a situation where Vermaelen can cover center back and left back. You have already Nacho and Gibbs in the left back role. You have Mertesacker, Chesney. You have Sonia that can cover in center back and right back. You have Jenkinson that can do the same. Then you have Bellerin that has been amazing in the lower ranks that can come up to right back if need be. So I think a solid center back to add to the three that we already have is about as perfect as we can get.
Because there was actually talk about a young lad at Bayern Munich, wasn't it, who's today's come out and said that he would like to actually stay there and fight for his position. I can't think what his name is.
Gustavo.
That's the man. That's the man.
Isn't he more of a midfielder?
He's a defensive midfielder more than he is anything else.
Ah, I see. I do see. There's also, I wanted to touch on you guys with the Sanya situation and his ongoing transfer or lack of, or contract saga, or whatever you want to call it, really, because he wasn't happy with being offered a year. It looked like I would have certainly put a lot of money on him leaving. Now he's come out, he wants to stay. He's looked really happy on the tour. I don't get what you guys think about that, Danny.
I think it's a fantastic thing that he does stay, that it just shows one more bit of stability towards us making a bloody good charge to the title next season. Because if we're going to talk later about other possible signings and how likely they're looking, I think having one of the world's best right backs on his day, which last season he was still pretty good. A lot of people give him grief for last season, but he was still one of the best right backs. I mean, trying to replace him would be really, really hard because Jenks isn't as good at defending as he is, although Jenks does have brilliant crossing. It's superb news that it looks like he's going to be staying because there's been absolutely bugger all talk of him leaving. I know PSG or Monaco was sniffing around him, but it looks like that's not going to happen. So if he stays, it's like the old saying, is it? It's almost as good as a signing, him staying on, because it's fantastic.
I mean, surely he's got to be worth, say, not a year, but say 2 or 3.
How old is he now? Did you say 29, 30?
29, 30, I think he is, yeah.
Right back. Well, I mean, Dicko was still playing at right back when he was 60, wasn't he? So
Cafu went on to his 30s as well.
Who did?
Cafu.
Oh, Cafu, yeah, Brazilian right back. He was at Roma and AC Milan and all that lot. Yeah, he was brilliant. Yeah, so it's fantastic. I hope he stays. I'd give him a 3-year contract.
And one of the other things we wanted to touch on about the back four was Gibbs and Monreal fighting for the left back position. FK, who do you think is better and who would be your starter for next season? Because I know that they're both good players.
Oh, that's such a tough question to answer. I like them both. I think they both offer different things to our defence. Monreal, possibly more technically gifted as a defender, more polished, I would say. But Gibbs is raw drive, pace, and strength. I think is something that I like. But the problem with Gibbs is, unfortunately, you just can't rely on him to keep fit. And it's one of the greatest shames, actually, because as a defender and as a player who's come through the ranks and he's clearly an Arsenal boy, you'd absolutely love him to just steer free of injury for a year, just to see how good he could really be. He's got a great engine on him. He's very strong. He's growing. So I think from my point of view, I'd love to see Gibbs try and secure that spot. But both are reliable in terms of defenders, but both seem unreliable in terms of fitness. So a little bit surprised that we let Junaid Mead go. I know obviously that's predicting, you can't really predict injuries, but in the situation that we've got now with Gibbs just being the only fit left back, it would have been maybe a decent opportunity for Mead to get some time, but Gibbs for me.
Because I know it was you, Danny, that said on the other podcast that will remain unnamed that you said that Gibbs should maybe try going into a wing position.
Yeah, yeah. When he was, we got him from MK Dons, Wimbledon stroke MK Dons, because at that time that was when they were changing from one to the other, and he was a left winger, much like when Ashley Cole. Did someone just died?
No, I'm still here.
Oh, good. When Ashley Cole was first at Arsenal, he was a striker, and only once he went out on loan to Crystal Palace and was playing left back. Only then did Wenger go, "Well, bloody hell, you're not a bad left back." And so when Gibbs was at Wimbledon and in the youth for Arsenal, I think Jeff was saying that he was quite spectacular as a left-sided midfielder, because if he can track back, I remember in the old days where you'd have like Perez and Winterburn, or you'd have Winterburn and was it Overmars playing on the left with him? I know the wingers tend to swap sides, especially Lundberg and Perez used to swap sides all the time. But I would love to see Monreal as the main left back with Gibbs playing in front of him. Because you can't have two international players vying for the same position. It doesn't work. It reminds me of at West Ham when you had Psycho and you had Julian Dix. They're both brilliant left backs, both at the club at the same time. And I think Winterburn went there a little while after.
He did indeed. Did he finish his career at West Ham?
Yeah,
Winterburn.
Yeah, I think he stayed there for 3 years and retired.
So, what would your guys' back four for the season be? I don't know whether to ask the question of whether there's the injuries to definitely Vermaelen, who's going to be out, and it looks like Monreal as well. I don't know the extent of Koscielny's injury. But what would your back four be minus those two? And if you have to include a player that you can buy within reason, as in don't go and say bloody Marcelo or something like that. That sounded like marshmallow, didn't it? Marcelo, sorry.
That's easy for you to say.
Because I know that there are people out there who will pull me up on that.
Yeah, me, you tit.
Or you could just edit that.
No, fuck you. Get on with it.
Oh. All right, then we'll go to you first. Seeing as you want to get chopsy.
I'll get chopsy all day long on you cheeky monkey. Oh, number 3.
Oh, look at that. Jimmy Carter's come online.
Hello, Jimmy. Do you know it's in his avatar? He's wearing an Arsenal kit. What does that mean? I'm just trying to find out what is wrong with Monreal. Has anyone got any ideas? Because his last injury...
Back injury.
It says here he was out from October to December 2012 with back trouble and meniscal laceration, something else like that. I think maybe that might have been something he had for dinner. I would have... who do you say? I can't have Monreal, so it's got to be Gibbs at left back, and I can't have Vermaelen, so it's going to have to be the BFG and Koscielny playing at the back, and then at right back it's going to have to be Sagna. I don't think you can really have much else other than that. Oh, where's Scalacci? Or has he gone?
He's gone.
Bastia!
We did a podcast about this ages ago, saying that Scalacci had gone. Do you actually not pay any attention whatsoever?
I just told you where he is. He's gone to Bastia.
Oh, whatever. You didn't have a clue, did you?
No, I made it up. I just hope he's there. Somebody let us know.
I dropped him off myself.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, dear.
I did. I said, don't let the car door hit your ass on the way out. No, fuck off.
Boom.
Hey. So, okay then, we'll go straight to James then. Who would your back four be?
Pretty much the same as Danny's. I mean, you can't really see any need to change that. I mean, if we're talking about hypothetical signings, I quite like the guy at Schalke, the Greek guy with the unpronounceable name.
Papadopoulos.
That's the one.
No.
No, that's coming up later.
Zalalem.
That's the la-la-la-la-la-la-lem, that one. And Szczesny between the sticks. You can't really see there being any need, especially not to break up the Mertesacker and Koscielny partnership, because that was, at the end of last season, very, very strong.
I'd like to dance with Koscielny.
Who wouldn't?
See, we could have, if Keith was on tonight, he could have listened. He could have sung along, couldn't he?
Oh, I can only imagine.
Because if you go to Keith's Twitter and see the recent YouTube video that he's done, I was in absolute stitches. I had to change my pad, literally.
Oh, well done.
It was beautiful. God, this is dead air, isn't it?
I'm
You have to
biting my
change your
nails.
what? Your pad?
Yes.
Your ladies' pad?
Tenor lady. He had a little bit of dribble.
Yes.
Are we talking one of the ones with the top sheet and the dry weave?
Oh, guys.
Well, they're more absorbent, those ones.
Well, it only took 10 minutes to reach this level. We're rock bottom already.
Okay, FK. Who's yours?
Try and clear this mess up, FK. We need your
I'll
help.
try. Let's get back to
Sorry,
football.
it's my fault.
It's fine. Well, first of all, I didn't really comment on getting a fourth defender for the squad, and I think that's without question. That's something we need to do. It's quite an interesting one because you need to bring in someone who wants to challenge, obviously, the existing three, or the top choice two, but someone who's not going to get unhappy by sitting on the bench, because whilst Koscielny and Mertesacker are fit and ready, they are our best partnership. So it's quite a delicate situation, that one. In terms of who I'd pick, you've got to pick Szczesny between the sticks. You've got to have Gibbs at left back. Sanya, for me, give him that 2-year contract extension, because on his day, when he's flying, he's the best right back in the league, in my opinion. And the middle two, like I've said, Mertesacker and Koscielny pick each other. I'd love to see Vermaelen get the bit between his teeth again and find his form and come back. And in terms of who I'd like to come in, lots to talk about Williams, and I don't know. There's rumours of Sacco and Zuma from France, but I'd like to see like a little punt on Mika Richards. He can play centre back and right back. Apparently, he's a boyhood gooner. He'd add to the English core that we've got. If he can sort out his attitude and get his fitness, he could be a real player. But that's just my opinion.
See, he's just pulled it back. That was epic, absolutely epic. John,
It was astonishing.
You've got a hard act to follow.
All delivered in a chocolatey, sexy voice as well.
It was.
There is nuts.
Leave me for last, obviously. For me, I'd have Monreal over Gibbs every day of the week if he's healthy. I think he's a more defensive left back, which is what Gleeshy never was. And Gibbs, for me, is more of a left wing back than a left back. And the middle partnership, I don't think you can break them up. Mertz and Koscielny. And as far as right back, Sanya all day long. So I think for me, it's all four. I would love to see Vermaelen as a defensive midfielder more than a left back or a center back, to be honest.
Fantastic.
I think say. Oh, sorry, but I didn't say.
Go on, Danny.
Yeah, I didn't say who I would have as another defender to buy. I'd go Subotic of Dortmund. I'd splash big on him. Superb player.
Great player.
He's a unit as well.
Plus, he spent a few years in America, and so he speaks very good English. He seems like a very intelligent young man, and he would just be fantastic. We wouldn't have to worry about Vermaelen being ill or not playing in the right position or trying to get up front and score 10 goals a game like he's playing FIFA. We'd have to worry about any of that.
Thing is, Danny. Oh, sorry, Gim. I don't know about sort of ruffling it too much by bringing in someone who would automatically demand a starting spot, because I don't think it's worth overreacting a little bit. I mean, we had the second best defensive record in the league last year. We kept 14 clean sheets in the Premier League. 9 of them were sort of away from home. And I think the team is defending much better than we had maybe the year before. So for me, it's just about having strength and depth rather than someone coming in to oust either Koscielny or Mertesacker. And I don't know how Koscielny would feel on the bench, or even Mertesacker. And I wouldn't want them to even think about leaving because they couldn't get first team football. But Subotic is a great defender, no doubt. But I don't know if he's necessary. Sorry, Danny.
Yeah, but if we've only got those three. I mean, Per seems like he's 40 already. Per is only 28. Vermaelen is, I think, 26, 27, and I think Koscielny is deceptively older than he actually looks. I think he looks about 18, but I think he's about 26, 27. And that's it. After that, who have we got that can play at the back? We haven't got anybody. What I mean.
If you bring in someone like, again, I'm not just touting the name because I know anything or I've heard anything, but Mika Richards, who's what, 22, 21? I don't know how old he is.
He's been linked with, I think he's about 24. I think he's been linked with us a lot recently, and he's a hell of a player.
But he is, and he's a sort of player that I think you could have a little bit of patience with him because he's young. If you bring in someone like Subotic, who's this is a Champions League final player and a proven international player, he would demand to start every week. And I know that competition is healthy, but you can't have 4 top-class centre-backs. I mean, you look at United, they've got Vidic and Ferdinand, or Vidic and sort of Smalling, I suppose, and they fill the numbers with Johnny Evans. They used to do it with Wes Brown and John O'Shea, and I think
the one that looks like a curly whirly. What's his name? Phil Jones.
Yeah, Phil Jones, indeed. So I think you can't. I don't know if you can have 4 really good and sort of similar level centre backs. I think maybe there's a case for someone young and hungry to come in and learn and maybe not expect as much game time. I don't know.
Mika Richards was 25 a month ago.
Really?
He's deceptively old, so we should get him for 10. But I like what you say.
So nobody thinks that Mikel's ready to step up then?
I don't think he's going to make it.
I quite like him, you see. I think he might, given the chance, be pretty good.
Didn't he win a lot of awards at youth level for the Spanish team? Defensive awards. I know he was.
Ask John about
Wasn't he voted some player of the tournament at...
Yeah, but that was ages ago.
Okay, so he's crap now then.
Do you think he's
No, he's
fake,
not.
John?
I don't think he's. I don't think he's crap. I just think that he doesn't have a spot competing against Mertesacker or Koscielny at this point. You're looking at a defender that's. I mean, let's be realistic. Giroud, a couple of seasons ago, was great, and all of a sudden, 1 year, and he's crap, and everybody wanted him out. I don't know why, but they didn't have any confidence in him. And I think on the defensive end of the field, confidence is key. And once you start downing yourself on the reaction to the ball and the reaction to the player, once that doubt sets in, I think that you have a hard time coming back from that.
I think the thing with Giroud was that not what many people actually mention is that he was a player that could come in and do a job and actually didn't mouth off about being on the bench. He was more than happy to sit there, and some people would turn around and go, oh wow, that's because he was happy to take the money, because he's not. But he was a player of a decent quality that could have come in as and when, you know what I mean? And I don't think there's many players around of his quality, say, and I know and I'm going to get absolutely slated for calling Giroud quality, but
Call him Dojo, because people get Giroud and Giroud mixed up, so it's easier to call him Dojo.
Okay, Dojo.
Because I thought, who the hell are you on about?
But I don't think that there's many players that would come in and sit on the bench for as long as he has and not say anything about it.
So who would your back four be then?
I would have Sanya, Koscielny, Mertesacker and Gibbs.
And long term?
It's got to be Monreal, Vermaelen, Koscielny and Sanya.
You don't think Vermaelen and Koscielny are a little too similar to play together?
Yeah, they like to get forward a bit.
I think Mertesacker needs to be in there because he's the balance between the two.
Very true, but I think his turn of pace is a bit slow at times, and yes, he does stick back there, but I think if you're building a team with, say, the mentality of that team mainly attacking, then let the attacking do the defending. Do you know what I mean? The best form of
I agree, yeah, but I think when we're playing against the top teams, it's good to have, the balance of somebody like Mertesacker who's capable of reading the game in the vein of like Bolton Adams.
Oh, no, I completely agree,
James. Yeah, he reads the game so well, Mertesacker, because he only just sort of like mops up. He's a more agile, more nimble one. Just going back to Mikel, gents, if I may, he's your perfect example of a player who just needs a year on loan at a Premier League club.
Definitely. Yeah.
If you could just if you bring in a fourth choice defender, you're effectively saying to him, look, son, this season's not your year. Let's get you out on loan to Swansea, to
Everton, a Spanish manager.
But a little bit kind of like we did with Bartley.
Yeah,
that went well. He's at Birmingham on loan now in the Championship.
But some work out and some don't, and it worked wonders for Jack Wilshere. So if Mikel can go out for a year or even half a year, that'd do him his confidence the world of good, and he'd just get a little bit of experience, then bring him back and maybe give him a few minutes and Carling Cup game. Capital One Cup games, whatever it's called.
Oh, because he is the under 21s captain, isn't he? So our youth captain.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a
good
player.
back four that doesn't contain Mertesacker for me is a losing back four.
Agreed.
Well, I think that the back four with Koscielny and Mertesacker reminds me of the Toure, Campbell, the Adams, Keown. You always have one that will stay back and one that will go forward, and that's what you need. I can't see a Vermaelen and a Koscielny where they both like to get forward.
Well, we saw that from September to
January.
December, didn't we?
Yeah.
I would like to stress that would be Vermaelen on top form. That's not just Vermaelen on a decent day.
Yeah,
if
on
Vermaelen
form he
would
was
have
brilliant.
to get back to where he was, as in where people will call him, Verminator and all of that. Because I think, he's at this moment in time, I don't think he's anywhere near what he was.
But when he was the Verminator, he always had like a Gallus to back him up. There was always somebody back covering his position or covering his hole in the team. And when it's Vermaelen and Koscielny, they both like to play the same way. It doesn't work.
See, for me, Vermaelen was making a lot of silly, niggly errors, very much like Koscielny did when he first joined the club. Just his positioning was all out and his passing was crap. He got caught too far up the field. But, you know, who's to say? I think it's brilliant that we can sit there and have a decent debate about having 3 top quality centre backs.
There's a headache we all like. How about captain? Who's going to be captain next season?
I think it's got to be
Vermaelen.
Arteta.
Who?
But
Is he going to stay captain though?
Wenger already said that he was going to stay captain.
I would agree with John. I think you keep Tommy V captain, and I think Arteta's probably going to get more game time. So when Vermaelen's not playing, Arteta's your default captain.
See, the problem is that you've got that if all of you guys are saying that your 2 centre backs would be Koscielny and Mertesacker.
Can't not play the captain.
And you can't not play the captain. For
Why
me,
not?
the captain has got to play every game because he is the first choice captain.
What's the point in being captain?
If you're going to make Koscielny and Mertesacker your back 2.
No, you play players based on form. I mean, Mertesacker and Koscielny have been outstanding. The last 10 game stretch we had, they were brilliant. And I think Vermaelen will be sitting there thinking, okay, I don't think he's scratching his head wondering why he's not in the team. He knows why he's not in the team. And I think if he's fit and if he can get his form back, then
because at this point, if you take it away from him, there's no motivation for him to get his form back.
And how about the stuff at the end of last season where Vermaelen was coming on to play defensive midfield? Is that going to be anything we can see again this coming season?
That's what I would love to see.
I think it's a good idea as well.
But then that will move Arteta up. And Arteta playing a more central midfield role would be brilliant. So maybe
I think people underestimate how much Arteta has been one of the main reasons we've got such a good defensive record as well.
He's playing in that position, doing that well, and he's more, if anything, and slightly more attacking midfielder.
It's like Gilberto. You don't notice what he's doing.
Listen, Arteta has sacrificed his personal numbers to play the position that Arsenal needs him to play. But if you really look at it, Arteta is great against teams that have no pace. The minute that you have physicality and pace, he suffers. But he's really a creative player. That's why I would love to see Vermaelen moved up, or we signed a defensive midfielder, so that we can actually get the best years out of Arteta that we can in a creative role. Because I don't think that we need to spend on an attacking midfielder. We have one in-house.
Because he was kind of Everton's Fabregas when he was there. He was the one where the whole game was around him. He was in the middle of everything.
Then he linked up with Cahill very well.
They were fantastic.
And they got a load of goals between them at Everton. And in his last couple of years, he was superb for them. But we'll draw a line under that then, fellas. And last week, we asked the panel who were here which Arsenal player they'd most like to go for a drink with and why. First of all, James, because you weren't here last week, we'll ask you who your Arsenal player, and that's of the current squad, you would most like to go out for a drink with and why, please.
I'd go with Gideon Zala. Let me try that again. Gideon Zalalem. I'd take him out drinking primarily because he looks like he's a very impressionable young man and somebody needs to show him the darker side of life.
Oh, hello.
That sounds like that. Do you know what? With your Bristolian accent, you sound like you could proper lead him astray. Can you just say curly whirly for me, please?
Curly whirly.
There you go.
Get lash.
You could take him on the tour of Bristol's finest halls.
Yeah, I'd take it. Is Bristol's finest what?
You could take him and show him where all the Bristol's finest whores live, and then you could maybe run a couple over.
I need fuckers.
in your supercar, you can run them over, bounce them off the bonnet like a game of GTA 4. Oh.
See, the people listening to this will never get that, but this is a personal joke of which maybe one day that we will reveal.
Maybe one day I'll tell the world about my exploits running down ladies of ill repute in my spectacularly wonderful Rover car that gets mocked quite royally by you
bastards. But hopefully your mates, James, will hear that and they'll all be laughing.
No, they won't, because not many of them know about it. I was told in confidence. Now I got to explain it to people.
Well, that's where you were for 4 years. You weren't really on holiday.
No, I was running down prostitutes and evading the law. Anyway,
that's Grand Theft Auto shit just got real.
Yeah. Grand Theft Rover.
Grand Theft Bristol.
So, okay then. To move on from there, we chucked the same question to the listeners on Twitter this week. So we're now going to read out a few that we liked. And first of all, we got Arsenal Harold, and the Harold part of that is spelled Harald, and he said that he would go out for a beer with Zelalalem.
No.
Zelalalem.
No.
Because he's
that was beautiful.
because he's not old enough to drink, so he could have all of his beers instead.
That's genius.
It's superb. He would just get.
Yeah, but if he's not old enough to drink, they wouldn't get anywhere to drink, would they?
Depends where you go. Gimli knows some places.
Oh,
J2O.
I know. Trust me.
A nod's
Wales.
as good as a wink.
You take it to Wales, I could show you a good time for a £5.
Personally.
That sounds
And that
alarming.
includes dinner.
And I'll tell you what, you get the prostitute and I still get the Donner at the end of it.
And a signed
that's
copy
the
of
name.
GTA 4.
With my picture on the front.
Right. Our next response.
I tell you something, I hope you don't have a high listenership of prostitutes, otherwise they're going to be very angry.
Or they might do as a deal.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
If any prostitutes want to sponsor the show, you let us know.
And always remember, one in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Jesus.
Oh my word.
FK's gone very quiet. Sorry.
I'm here,
If you
lads.
guys
I'm
name
taking it all in.
podcast anything like running down prostitutes in Bristol, I'm not going to be amused.
Do you know what FK's just sat there going, this is
What are these people talking about?
No
Right.
hablo inglés.
The next person to reply was Joe Wooden, and that's JoeWoodin, and he said that he'd like to go out with Podolski because he's learned some Cockney rhyming slang, so he thinks they'd have a right bubble, which I thought was mildly amusing, so that one had to be in. And our final one came from a guy called Kid Gunner AFC, and he says Bentner, and this was a personal favourite of mine, because he'd get him hammered, drive him up to North Wales, and leave him in Conwy Valley Garden Maze. He'd be lost for fucking years.
That's one for the people in Wales. And there's one that I'm going to very carefully hint at. You know who you are, you cheeky monkey. The bloke who wanted to take Diaby out. Now, we can't go any further than that because you deleted your tweet. But me and Gimli know what you said. We laughed our asses off, but we can't repeat it because it would involve a hospital visit.
Because, no, literally, people know how much, not that we don't care, but we are quite careful to...
Isn't this the Jovino one you mentioned earlier?
Yes.
Oh, what did I say? Diaby?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Jovino. Thank you, James.
Yes, it was the Jovino tweet where he said that he'd like to do something
At the end of the night.
at the end of the night to
Something
Jovino's
nefarious.
face. Put it like this, I think I can see the blue lights outside.
Getting ran over by a rover.
I can hear him bouncing off the bonnet now.
Oh, I just pictured Jovino in whorish pumps now.
Right, so we'd just like to thank all of those that sent their answers, and I can assure you, me and Danny sat down and read them all, and we had a right laugh, didn't we, Dan?
I smiled once and I nearly smirked. No, we did look at them all. Thank you very much to everybody. It's very good.
Didn't it? The AFC podcast Twitter page, literally, you buggered off for about an hour and you came back and there was like 290 odd replies to that one tweet.
So then I had to do a tweet. I said, sorry, everybody. It'd take me the rest of my life to reply to all of you, so I'd do it all in one go. I put yes, no, sometimes, Tony Adams, Highbury, thank you very much. Hope that answers all your questions.
And that wraps them up. So we'll be doing another question next week, won't we, Danny? So
Yeah.
we'll have to have a think on what that is, and we'll tweet it from the Twitter account. So if you want to reply to that one, and like all these lovely people that got their responses read out on here today, next week it could possibly be you.
If you're lucky.
If you're very, very lucky.
Or
So you should know you're on here as a competition winner.
Do you have to? This is something I've mentioned earlier. You refer to me as a competition winner. It makes me sound like I'm some sort of, special case that's been wheeled out as a care in the community project.
Trust me, your voice, I'd have you on every week, my lover.
all I'm
you
going to say
consider it done there, Flower.
all I'm going to say is we've had instructions to hose you down and have you back by 9.
What is it, sponge pudding tonight? Because I'm leaving.
Let us know when your dribble bucket is full and we'll get someone to come along and change it.
I'm actually, as we speak, covered in my own feces, so any dribble's going to be neither here nor there.
And you look like David Beckham if the ladies are listening.
Yeah, I do. Allegedly.
So basically, if you can imagine David Beckham covered in turd, you're halfway there, ladies.
In boxing gloves.
In boxing gloves and a headband.
I'm not
Very
actually wearing
special.
boxing gloves at the moment. I'm wearing nothing but white sports socks and a general's hat.
Oh,
There's not really a lot you can say to that, is there? This is
I'm
very
glad
off
it's
topic,
the
this
arising
one,
picture
fellas.
being created. So when ladies the world over are listening to this podcast thinking, good grief, who is this mellifluous Bristolian soul? They can now got a picture to go with my voice.
Or, on the other hand, if it's the ladies of the night and you've been run over, you also know what to look for.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be flashing lights, sirens, and irate prostitutes outside my house at any moment.
Oh, dear.
It sounds wonderful. Right then,
Let's
we're going to
talk
move
some
on.
more football, because I think
Yes.
FK is getting bored.
We're on to our
No,
next
not
main
Apologise to
topic.
FK because I'm just chanting on about any old nonsense now.
Don't worry, mate. I'm taking it all in. It's all good. It's all good.
We'll move on to our next and main topic of today's podcast, which is the Luis Suarez transfer. And I can actually hear some of you rubbing your hands together now as we speak.
I'm rubbing other parts of my anatomy with glee.
Is it possible to hear friction?
Hang on.
I can smell burning.
So, as I'm sure all of our listeners will be aware, we've bid 35 million and we've now bid 40 million and a pound. So, I'd like to go over to John first of all, and you've done a blog on Suarez, haven't you, in the last couple of days?
I did. I did one yesterday for Gunnar and Barca at WordPress, and got quite a bit of mixed reaction on it. Obviously, this isn't a topic for the lighthearted, should we say? No.
And we're going to link to it on our webpage on where you listen to the podcast with the media player. We'll have a full link to it there, and the one on Gunnerstown.
But
yeah,
did you?
and Vincent Blog did a really good blog on it
That's
a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, we're going to include that.
But shall we touch on it a little bit now? Because I know a lot of people won't like Suarez, and I've actually been told that it's divided as 50-50 as to whether the fans want him or not. And a lot of that will be because his so-called racist remarks that he's made, and also his on-the-pitch antics regarding Branislav Ivanovic. So he does come with a fair bit of history. However, I don't think you can actually knock his games to goals ratio and his stats. But FK, what do you think of him?
Look, Luis Suarez as a footballer is without question the caliber of player that we need to take our game to the next level. As a footballer, he's an incredible centre forward. He's just a great player. He brings people in. He scores goals. He makes goals. And what I like about him is that he will win at any cost. And it's not necessarily nice if you're on the opposition. I have to admit that. But if he's going to do that kind of stuff, I'd rather he did it for us than anybody else. So as a footballer, I would absolutely welcome him. And like you said, Gim, his stats are phenomenal. I think he scored 30 goals in 40-something games for Liverpool last year.
44.
Is that right? And before that, he was like 49 goals in 48 games for Ajax the season before he joined Liverpool. So, without question, a fantastic player. Some are critical of his history, and completely understandably so. And I think I was doing some research, and he was banned for 7 matches for buying someone when he was at Ajax. He was banned 8 matches for the everything and 10 matches for the Ivanovic thing. That's 25 matches right there without being sent off. So you can understand why people are maybe questioning his temperament. The fact that he could be a liability, the whole World Cup handball thing against Ghana back in 2010, not the nicest thing to do, but I suppose you'd have done it for your country or your team. So there's lots of stuff there that you can understand why people would be upset about. But the bottom line is he's been punished. He's doing his time, so to speak. And the reality is that as a footballer, he is a human being and therefore prone to making mistakes just like you and I. So if he's doing his time and he's going to accept that and he comes back, then I've got no problem with him coming back. But my only doubt, and it's a very small doubt, is will Arsene be able to curb that temper that he seems to have? I like players with fight, don't get me wrong, but I think all jokes aside, biting is quite a serious thing. And I don't know. I mean, Kenny Dalglish was obviously not the great mentor. I mean, you're talking about a manager who took Andy Carroll to a casino and all that kind of nonsense, or musical concerts and all that kind of stuff. But under Wenger, I think Suarez he could really flourish, but he needs to control that side of the game.
And you talk about stats, FK. Just if this podcast is as polished as I'd hope it is, Danny, you have his stats in front of you right now, don't you?
Hello? I'd like a taxi, please. Oh, sorry, wrong number. Yeah, last season played 33 games in the Premier League only. 33 games, 23 goals, 72 shots on target. Giroud had 38. 71 shots off target, shooting accuracy of 50.3%. This is all from Liverpool.com, not Wikipedia. Successful crosses, 10. Successful crosses percent, 25% of his crosses were successful. Of Giroud's, 4% were. He had 5 assists, created a staggering 90 chances. And of those 23 goals, none of them were penalties. That kind of stuff, those stats are absolutely amazing. He's right foot, he can do left foot, header. He's just outstanding. And a conversion rate of 16%.
Did you say you're on Liverpool.com?
Yeah.
Remember to use some of that alcohol-based sanitizer for your fingers.
I'm going to have to, I'll never use Firefox again.
No, I was going to say,
ruined.
Just be a bit careful. But also, there's, as I mentioned, the controversial bit beside him about the racial remarks that he made. And I know, John, this is something that you've looked at before, and it's also commented in your blog. So would you mind touching on that for the people listening?
Well, absolutely. The thing that I get most defensive about is that they call him a racist. There's no gray area. There's only black and white, so to speak, pardon the pun. The problem with that is that if you look at the history of South American players in Europe, there's always that controversy. A lot of them have racially mixed either, backgrounds or uncles or, somebody in their family is always going to be of a darker race when you're talking about South American society. If you look back at a Telegraph article that I linked to on my blog, Messi was accused of the same thing, but it never went to anything. Why? Because he's Messi. He has Barcelona behind him. Heinz and Higuain were accused of the same thing, but they have Real Madrid behind them, and it didn't happen on the pitch. It happened at a training ground. Even though it erupted into a bust-up with Mamadou Diarra, it never went to anything because it was handled internally. So if you wanna get technical about the whole situation, Suarez has never been accused before, and he has never been accused after about that. And if you want to get even deeper into the situation, his paternal grandfather is actually black. So was he trying to get under Evra's skin? Absolutely. Did he make a mistake? Absolutely. Should he have known better? Absolutely. But for me, a racist has to have a background to it, has to have a prior history to it before I can label that person as such. And he doesn't have that. If you want to call him a racist, then you have to call Messi a racist. You have to call Heinz a racist. You have to call Higuain a racist. So what are we doing? We're going after the least, the most talented racist, if you want to get technical, of the people that want to say, well, at least Higuain, is saint-like. Well, no, actually he isn't.
So I mean, we're not condoning anything that he said on this show, are we?
Absolutely not. And I touched into that in my blog, which is you can use it as a term of endearment, or you can use it as as a way to sting somebody in the moment. And he should know better, given his background. He chose to do it as a derogatory term, and he served his ban, and he was rightfully banned for it. But without a history of it, and given his background, I think people need to take a step back, stop being so politically correct, stop throwing, stones while living in glass houses, and understand that this is a sportsman that let his the heat of the moment get to him. And for me, if I had any doubt about Suarez signing for Arsenal, it would be that he lets the heat of the moment dictate his actions. And that's how I would dictate his biting and this Evra incident. But as far as racist, I don't think he's racist. I don't think Higuain is racist. I don't think Messi is racist. I mean, for God's sakes, Busquets was caught on video calling Marcelo a monkey in Spanish, and nobody seems to even want to delve into that realm. Why?
Didn't
Because
they
it's
even catch
Barcelona.
Fabregas doing the same as well to Canute?
With Canute. He called him a negro, and Canute, as a gentleman, let it go. But for the 3 weeks after that match, it was a very hot topic here. So let's not, let's stop labeling people and look into the situation before, a sportsman can have this label for a lifetime based on a moment's incident.
Thing is, I don't think it particularly helps him as a player that he's quite an arrogant football player. I'm not going to say he dives all the time. I'm just going to say that he's known for his diving. I'd be hypocritical if I sat here and I said, "Oh no, he doesn't dive," just because we have shown solid interest with him. But I do think he comes with a certain kind of stigma that because because he's a good player, he is hated. Very much in the same way that Wayne Rooney is, and Wayne
He made
Rooney.
a commercial. He made a commercial in South America
Yeah, I've
about
seen that.
yeah,
Seen
where
that, yeah.
where they
Tweeted that
barely
today.
touch him and he goes down. So he can make fun of himself in that manner as well. But I
Mm.
think people have taken it a step too far as the racist claims are concerned.
I mean,
Sorry, no, go on.
I was actually going to say, because John, you're actually quite qualified to talk about this and the cultural sayings and things that people say to each other, because although you have an American accent, you're actually Venezuelan, aren't you?
I was born in Venezuela, raised there for 7 years. My mom's Venezuelan. She's of Italian descent, and my grandmother is from Cuba. If I post a picture of my grandmother right now on Twitter, she's black. So when I go to a family function, a lot of my uncles, a lot of my family, I can greet them with "Hola, mi negrita," "Cómo estás, negra," tal, things like that of that nature, and it's a term of endearment. Obviously, Suarez wasn't meaning to call Evra anything as far as a term of endearment, but a lot of the things that Evra said that Suarez said weren't able to be proven via the video that the FA had available. Go read the FA report. Go read Evra's statement saying that he doesn't think Suarez is a racist. I
Mm.
think that's huge. I think people are jumping to conclusions.
Yeah, and I know Danny's got a few more stats, haven't you, Danny, leading on from what you were saying before?
Yeah, John just reminded me with hearing John speak that he. I've lost the bloody. John gave me a link to someone at Dan Kennett, just saying where Suarez took his all the shots on goal this season. 188 shots on goal, 12 inside the 6-yard box, 49 from the centre box. 24 from the left of the centre box, 17 from the right of the centre box, 5 from left byline, 15 from right byline, and then you got the outer box. He had another 12, outer box centre, another 15, then outer box right 9, and outer box left 5. And I think that just shows he will shoot from absolutely everywhere. He's not a one-footed player. He will shoot from anywhere, have a go at anything, in, out, left, right, he doesn't care, and that kind of stuff. We were saying before the podcast, with the amount of ammunition that the likes of Wilshere, Arteta, Cazorla, that they will give him, I can see if we sign him getting 40 goals a season. And like John was just saying, we're not apologising for what he did, because what he did was wrong, and he probably was. If he didn't realise then, he realises now what he did was wrong, and I can't see him doing it again.
No. I know we've spoken so far very highly about Luis Suarez, about his football, maybe not so much about his on-field antics, but I know with us tonight we have someone that doesn't like him, and that's James, isn't it, James?
I wouldn't go, I mean, I'm not a huge fan. As a player, undeniably, as the other guy said, he's outstanding. He's world class, and if he came to Arsenal, I don't question for a second that he would score goals. Personally, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think laying out that amount of money for someone who is essentially a ticking time bomb, who has got 6 games of a ban to go through, and is likely to do something similar. I mean, and one thing I think a lot of people haven't actually taken into account is how much worse the pressure and the media attention on him will be when he's playing for a club and with a massive price tag hanging over his head. I mean, everything he does is going to be taken out of context or made out to be 1,000 times worse than it actually is with the media. I just think it's I personally think Higuain was the better purchase and all round. Yeah, or Higuain, Higuain.
Ask John about that, because John says he's a flat track bully.
Have you seen? Absolutely.
He signed for Napoli, hasn't he, tonight?
He has, but his record is wonderful. Higuain's record, if you look at it, the overall context of his shots per game, conversion rate, everything looks spectacular. But if you look at the in-depth breakdown of his numbers, I mean, in all his years versus Barcelona in the league, he has 3 goals.
Yeah, he's been there since 2006. I'm a firm believer that stats can be misleading. I got a good stat here to prove how misleading they can be. Is that I read today that Nicholas Bentner has scored more goals in the Champions League than Higuain in 23 less appearances.
That's fine. That's great. But you know what? Higuain has failed to score a single goal in a Champions League decider since 2006 for Real Madrid. He has 2 assists in the Champions League decider for Real Madrid. If you take a look at the blog, you'll see where the breakdowns are.
I'm not disputing these facts. I mean, it's just a personal opinion. I think Higuain would have been the better option. And I'm not talking on that as a player, because if you're going to compare them solely on their footballing abilities, then I agree with you. Suarez is the better option. But for the whole package, for everything that both bring, I think Higuain would have been the smarter move.
Is that something that you'd agree with, FK, or is Suarez still the man for you?
Footballing ability, there's no competition for me. I think Higuain is a very good player. He'd get you goals, I'm sure of that. But Luis Suarez is as close to world class as you're going to get if he's not world class already. And I think Danny's alluded to the fact that he shoots from everywhere. He's both foot, left foot, right foot. He's a classic Arsene Wenger signing. He can drift out, play out of position, bring other players in. Fantastic. As a footballer, no competition for me whatsoever. I think James is right. Higuain would have been the safer option in terms of PR and club reputation, all that kind of stuff. But I think with Suarez, if Wenger can, it's one of those classic cases. Get your arm around him.
It's a big 50 million airflow, isn't
it? It is. But you know what? It's funny. I tweeted about this the other day. For the first time in our lives, we're spending 30, 40, 50 million. If it happens, the fact that we're spending 30, 40, 50 million pound on a player is beyond mental. But if we're going to do it, I'm going to enjoy it. And quite frankly, I don't care anymore. Like all these years, we've been defending our model and we've been getting so much stick from the media, from fans, from colleagues, from friends, from even some Arsenal fans, And I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to enjoy this. And if we get Luis Suarez, irrespective of everything that's happened in the past, he's done his time. And people forget he's a 26-year-old boy who's obviously earning a lot of money, doesn't speak much English. If you watch Being Liverpool, he's not your most English talking individual. I think he's at the roughest of rough diamonds.
When he scores twice against Spurs, all will be forgiven.
He will be a hero.
That's very true.
And bottom line, John and James, is that this is the sort of player. If Arsenal are serious about getting onto that next step and competing with the top teams, Luis Suarez will give us that. And best of all, it reignites our hatred, our rivalry with Manchester United. Back to the Vieira Keane days, I'd love a bit of that. We'd be hated up and down the country with Jack Wilshere in the middle and Suarez up front. I say bring it on.
I'd also like to know your feelings on Liverpool owner John Henry's comments, and he came out this week and he said, I don't know what they're smoking down at the Emirates. To which
I'd imagine what they were smoking at the Emirates is nothing by comparison to what they were smoking at Anfield when Andy Carroll's name was brought up.
I was going to say, Jordan Henderson, 20 million. Downing, 20 million. So
Aquilani.
You've got 75 million, those 3 players, and it's, oh, wow. I mean, I want some of that.
90 million when you add Aquilani.
Who is a good player, but didn't even get a look-in of a chance until right near the end with Liverpool. If in Serie A, Aquilani, brilliant holding midfielder.
But everybody fails to realize also the fee that they paid for Sahin last year.
Oh dear,
yeah. That was about 10 million odd, wasn't it?
For a loan deal as well.
For a loan deal as well. Uh-huh.
And then they sent him back early, and then he went back to Dortmund on loan and did brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing that I'd like to talk about regarding the Suarez thing, and it will be a kind of a way to end this topic as well, is that there's a bit of a wrangle, or it's a contract issue around what the clauses are in this contract. And I don't know whether you're going to be able to clear this up, John, but there's two camps from what I believe. One of them being Liverpool, saying that at £40 million, the agreement was that they had to inform Suarez of the bid, and that he could go and talk to the club that had made that bid, but they didn't have to sell. Whereas the other camp, which is, I believe, Suarez's camp, which is saying there's 40 million on the table. At that point, once that bid is made, we can talk to the club, and if we want to go ahead with the deal, then you have to accept that offer, and we go. Is that right, John?
Well, that's the rub, isn't it? Does the gentleman agreement supersede what's on paper, or does the oral contract go ahead and supersede what's on paper? Because from the Suarez's camp, they're saying 40 million not only entitles us to talk to the club, but if we feel that this is the club for him, and you guys don't reach the Champions League, this is where our destination prefers to be. Who knows? I guess, does this go to a court? Does this move this from now till January? I don't know.
But I know that he was stuck in a very similar position when he was at Ajax. We spoke about it before the podcast and how you pronounce it. But there was a very similar situation when he was making his move to Liverpool, was there not? And his solicitors, and I believe it's almost exactly the same situation as he's in now. His solicitors looked into it and actually went, well, there you go. It's kind of agreed that when that offer was made, that he could move. And I know it was for a lesser amount of money, but I think if he's dealing with the same solicitors now, I would believe that if they put the same kind of clause in the contract, that maybe we can actually run with this thing and get Suarez.
Do you not think we're being a little bit... Are we being out of order a little bit by saying we want to take a player from another club, the way we have lost so many other players ourselves?
But it's kind of nice to be on the opposite side of it, I'll be completely honest.
Absolutely.
I do feel a little bit bad, though, because your average Liverpool fan is a nice person.
And you know how they feel, don't you?
The average Liverpool fan is completely deluded.
Yeah.
But,
just a second, can I read you guys a comment I got on my blog today? Within 3 minutes of it going live, when the topic was Luis Suarez, from a Liverpool fan, one of these nice Liverpool fans you mentioned. Right, you ready?
Yep.
It's quite beautiful. It starts off, fuck off James Raul Stokes, cunt. Liverpool don't need to sell to lesser teams when we are in position to challenge for league in Europe. That's verbatim what it says.
And as it was
that's
verbatim,
beautiful.
that
That's
excuses
beautiful.
the C word.
What was that blog of yours that you mentioned, James?
Mine?
Yeah, if you want to give it a plug.
Is
Plug!
thearmchairgooner.co.uk.
I will have a look.
I highly suggest everybody gets over there and reads that, as well as John's, which we've mentioned in the show.
It's a daily Arsenal blog in which there are pictures of my beautiful face and my general blathery rambling. It's
the glove
small by comparison, but it's getting bigger and bigger.
You wrote a rhyme, didn't you? I read one the other week that was like a rap.
Yeah, it's one of my little sort of pastimes. I love hip hop music. I love, combination of words, the way they rhyme, things like that.
Hip hop. What's that then?
Hippity hoppity.
Hip hop.
It's music of the urban generation.
I like garage. I normally park my car in it. That was the poorest joke of the evening. Do you know what? There's someone on Twitter that's been telling me,
Tumbleweed.
"Oh, Gimli, your jokes are absolutely shocking." I actually said, "So who wants a shout out tonight and why?" And someone put back, "Me, because your jokes are awful." So you didn't get a shout out, and I'm not going to mention you, but it was.
Sorry to interrupt a minute. John, what was the name of your blog again, so I can take a note of it?
It's gooner.wordpress.com. Gooner in Barca, actually, at wordpress.com.
Thank you very much, sir. I shall have
It's on my profile page.
And both of these will be on the your Twitter accounts that we have on our website, and they'll both be in the
bio
links.
to the pod.
Yeah, the bio to the pod. You Were you just messing with James then when you bigged up his hip hop career and then you didn't give him a chance to lay down some deaf beats?
You want to hear an excerpt from it?
3 seconds worth. I'd love to.
Oh Christ! Hang
No,
on a
you've
second.
got to hear it. I remember reading it and thinking, do you know what, that's quality.
I've got a little piggy nose in front of me on a bit of string. I'm going to strap it on and I'm ready.
Right, I'm going to have to find it a second first. I'll read out a little bit an excerpt of the last one I did, which was. Oh, hang on.
Have you got any hidden talents, FK? Are you tap dancing or are you just ladies only?
Ladies only, and chocolate is big enough talent as it is. By the way, just while James is looking for that, I saw a lot of stuff about this release clause for Luis Suarez and how Arsenal could be in trouble because that how would they have even known about it? But there was a paper that released a story back in November last year saying that he could be snapped up for 40 million if it was a Champions League club and Liverpool missed out themselves. And I think there's a lot of discrepancy about, because we've got the qualifiers, does that mean we are a Champions League club? I don't know what the ins and outs are, but I think there's definitely a clause there for something.
But look how mental they went when they got 50 million for Torres. Just think the damage they could do with another 50 fucking million, wasting it on people. Go and get some one-legged bloody hippos.
Right, I found it.
Go on then, James.
Go on, James.
Okay, give me a second. Okay, if there's a degree of sanity, folks appear to have misplaced it. Let's face it, Higuain might be in stasis, so on a nightly basis, Arsenal are linked to an unsightly racist. Deal done? This summer, Arsenal can seal a stunner. He'll never be a real gunner. Yo, Paul Squealer ain't no ethereal creature like Jules Wheeler. Can't put it to bed, though. The deal's not dead, yo. Those with the cred know. On the Grove, even Pedro said so. Next up, it's Benter that I'll focus on. Who knows what that bloke is on? I can't wait until that dope is gone. Yo, Nicholas, you're average, not collectible like Pokemon. Drop your wages, or no one's going to peek at you. Take the bleakest view. Realise you're not in the elitist view. Hear what I speak, it's true. It would be nice if you left in a week or two. I'd hate you to be up shit creek without the tools to paddle through.
That is very, very good.
A round of applause.
Hey,
thank you.
That's actually very good.
And it rhymed.
Just I think that was the point of it, Danny.
Why weren't you beatboxing, Gimli? It's all you could do. Boom.
I was going to say from I can't remember who said it now, but I was reading a very good piece from John Cross, who we'll mention is going to be on this show in the coming months as well. That is John Cross from the Mirror, and he did a piece in the last couple of days.
Is he hip hop rapping?
No, I don't think we're going to get that from him.
I'm the only Arsenal blogger out there who actually is.
Yes,
so I've got that string to my bow.
Yes, definitely. But John ran an article saying that it looked like with the 40 million and £1 bid, that once Suarez was made aware of Arsenal's interest and that he would consider it, that Suarez's people had maybe had a little word in Arsenal's ear and said what the clauses in that contract were, and maybe that's why you've seen such an odd offer come in. Now, I know John is a very credible source. He's an Arsenal fan himself, and I wouldn't necessarily disbelieve any article that he's put out. So take that as you wish. So we'll draw a line under that, fellas, and I think that was an absolutely brilliant discussion. And I hope that's cleared up everything for everybody. And I'm sure we'll probably still get questions, of which we're more than happy to answer on not next week's show because we've got a BSM special, the show after. But our last discussion of tonight is going to be on the inclusion of Galatasaray at the Emirates Cup. Does this show how out of touch a club is with its fans, Danny? Why is it controversial?
Well, being an older fan, I remember the last few years where Galatasaray. This isn't all Galatasaray fans, in case any are listening. You had the build up to we played them in the final, the UEFA Cup final in 2000, and the build up to the final, they played Leeds in the semi final, and we know what happened to the two Leeds fans there. And that was horrible. And then in the final in Copenhagen against Arsenal, you read 2 days of violence, 54 fans arrested, 4 stabbed, 11 injured. And while I was looking for this, I forgot there's the images. Like there's one Arsenal fan laid on the floor in the fetal position as 5 Galatasaray fans are stamping and kicking on the poor bloke. He's laying there in just his trousers and no top. And there's all these Galatasaray fans. Remember, I'm not saying every single fan. I'm just saying there's a bad faction of them. And people being stretchered away. And then I did a little more searching. And then you got, in 2001, 50 people were injured when fighting broke out at PSG Galatasaray. 50 injured. This is the stuff that even in the 80s, if we'd have saw that many people injured, we would have thought that's ridiculous. And then even recently, 2012, riot police had to step in after Galatasaray fans stormed the airport at Man United. I mean, an airport doing that there. And then this year, a Fenerbahce fan was stabbed to death with the derby with Galatasaray. And that was this year, and he died. And then it just shows, why would they do it? Because we were trying to think of earlier, why have they got Galatasaray there? I mean, I know there is quite a large Turkish community in North London. And we were saying, well, it couldn't be just for that. It has to be that the club must be stupid, because Real Madrid, and we asked John this, Real Madrid have just got the same shirt sponsors as we have. And you said they would have come, didn't you, John?
Likely. Absolutely.
From your point of view, I'd have thought they would have done. And then I think Hamburg, they're still sponsored by if it's the Emirates Cup, you would probably have teams that are sponsored by Emirates. So I can't see any logic in bringing them over. And I hope and pray that Leeds fans don't see this as a chance to come down to London on a nice sunny day and try and get a bit of revenge for the horrendous act that was done to 2 of their fans. But I think this whole thing could be more trouble than it's worth. Hopefully it will be nothing, but it's just worrying. We don't need to see that on these shores again.
You'd have to think that PSG would have also came.
Yeah. That's another good one. I mean, the Emirates Cup it's always sold as a fun day that the whole family can enjoy. And I know myself, I've gone to every other Emirates Cup that there has been, but I will not be going to this one. Not just for the fact that Galatasaray are going to be there, but I don't agree with their inclusion. I really don't. I mean, FK, what do you make of it?
I think Danny's hit the nails on the head there. I mean, it's not the best decision in the world, and I sincerely hope that there's no trouble on what is supposed to be, like you say, Gim, a family sort of weekend, family occasion of good football. I think it could have been avoided. There's nothing really for me to say. I mean, I'm not disgusted by the decision, but I will question it, and I am not personally going to, not out of protest, just because I haven't got around to booking a ticket just yet, and I think they're still available on general sale. I don't know what to say. I mean, there other clubs they could have invited, and I think it does show just a little bit how kind of out of touch the marketing team may be at the football club. They wouldn't have been my first choice. Play them in the Champions League out of default, fine, you can't do anything about it. But play them in a friendly that you're bringing upon yourselves, questionable.
And they are making it a family day, because to get in for the day to see the 2 games is £25 a ticket, and I think it's a couple of £1 booking fee. And they're also doing family deals as well.
I wonder how much they're charging for a pair of broken legs.
It's just going to be. It's a silly thing. There's so many other clubs in the world we could have invited. I'd like someone from the club to explain why have they invited them.
The thing that worries me, Danny, is obviously because it's a longer day of football than normally just going down to the Arsenal. You've got 2 games. It'll be a summer's day. Everyone's on summer holidays. People will be drinking from quite early, I suspect. And it just takes one idiot to kick off from either side. You know, it could be from Arsenal side. It could be from the Galatasaray side, particularly on the second day, because that's when we play them. You're right. We are looking at, like, I can't remember who's used the phrase before, but it's a ticking time bomb, isn't it, really?
I've even had a couple of people on Twitter say to me, do I have to be worried? And I said, well, I've not been down there for a few years, but I'm not saying you should be worried, but you should just be wary. If you see things looking a bit dodgy, just walk away.
I mean, I'm going, so I'm fully preparing myself to have to adopt that kind of mentality when I'm there, which I think, given that it's essentially a day out for families and kids, the decision was idiotic, personally.
No, definitely. I know another thing that is going to be commented about it, which some people will hold a dim view of it, and some people will go, that's all right. I know when Galatasaray played a recent friendly game against Napoli, they practically lit up the whole stadium with flares. I don't know whether you guys would agree with flares in the ground or not, but seems a bit OTT. And I mean, we are talking, they turned the ground into like just a massive firework. Does that worry you, James, that there's going to be flares and things around?
Not especially. I'm more worried about the stabbing.
And it is going to be a little bit health and safety, isn't it? So everyone's going to have to wear. They're going to have to issue crash helmets as you go in there. The little yellow ones, Bob the Builder helmets to everybody.
And I'm sure they'll be selling them in the club shop with the Arsenal crest on for 50 quid a go.
Yeah, it'd be a bargain of a deal.
I reckon they should make little Gunnosaurus glove puppets with blades that come out of the paws so you can defend yourself.
On guard.
You'll have your special riot shields in the shape of the Arsenal crest that you can always defend yourself from an oncoming attacker.
Or use for picnics when there's no
riot.
Or
to turn it upside down and use it as a nice picnic table.
Put a niçoise salad in it, perhaps.
Yeah.
Or maybe have the opportunity to hire an ex-Arsenal player as a bodyguard. I hear Kevin Campbell does that. I mean, no. Yeah, Kevin Campbell, and I'd personally have
Trevino.
I'd have Carnu.
Well, no, I'd have Hillier because Hillia's hard as nails.
He would MMA he'd take on the entire crowd. He'd MMA them one after the other. There'd be a pile of broken bones.
He'd fuck them up.
Yeah.
There is just no other way to say it. He would, He don't mess about, that fella.
No.
Right, so we'll draw a line under that then, and we'd just like to tell you all about next week's podcast, which me and Danny are going to be joined by the one and only Highbury Harold, Reg Blackscarf, and Raj Patel 1809 for a BSM special. And we did a little bit of a test pod last night where we heard some of the things they're going to talk about, and we only heard just a little short snippet, didn't we, Danny? But it's mouth-watering stuff, isn't it?
It is some of the stuff. We're not bigging this up and making stuff out to be better than it actually is. Some of the stuff they are going to tell us about on the podcast, some people will go, a lot of people are going to call bullshit, but they have got proof, and it is going to be absolutely amazing. I couldn't believe it when they told me the stuff they told us last night, and they said there is more, and they are willing to answer absolutely any questions about them, about their involvement, about anything. So if anybody has any decent questions, let us know.
Yeah, we'll be taking questions from probably around Monday. So if you keep a lookout on at the Bergkamp, at the AFC podcast, I've got the own bloody link to the Twitter wrong, at the AFC podcast Twitter account, or if there's anything that you want to put to us straight away to ask them guys, then by all means send us a tweet. It would be lovely to hear from you. So with that done, then we'll go straight over to shout outs, and we'll go to James first.
Oh, splendid. Shout outs. I've only really got one. I remember the last time I listened to this podcast, you guys were mentioning, and I apologise because I've forgotten his name, but the guy who helped you design your website.
Rufus. Oh, Darren.
That's the one.
Yeah, Darren Berry. Rufus did the graphics on it.
Well, I'm one of these people that's just utterly shambolically and woefully inept when it comes to computers and the running of them and all the implementation of HTML codes and that kind of thing. And I have someone who's been kind enough to do it for me. And that's, I don't know if any of you guys follow Daniel Cowan.
Yes, we do.
He, above anybody else, has been a massive help to me. And he's a really, really top bloke as well. And he's the guy I'm going to the Emirates Cup with on Saturday week.
Yeah.
So I think my one shout out will be dedicated to him. And if you don't follow Daniel Cowan, that's at the Daniel Cowan on Twitter, you ought, because he's a really top fellow.
Fantastic. Over to you, FK.
One shout out for me this week, and her name is Gunaret, but her at address is Ava MCL3, so that's at EVA MCL3. Big Arsenal fan, really knows her stuff. I really enjoy following her, and she's just started blogging as well for anyone who's interested in reading. And the blog, if I can plug that, guys, is ohtobeagunaret.wordpress.com. So OOHTOBEA Gunaret.wordpress.com. Go have a look.
I noticed that's Another lady this week.
Hey.
Are you?
I'm a
This
ladies' man.
podcast is doing well for your whoring yourself out.
Hey, well, actually,
If he's
I'm not
whoring himself out, he better watch out because I'm gonna run him down.
I cannot comment on any speculation, but I will give you news when I have news.
We have some ladies lined up to come on the pod. Nikki
Fantastic.
Berry, she said she'll come on. With Sardia, she said she'll come back on.
Brilliant.
And wasn't there someone? Was it Jules Wheeler? Did she say she might come on?
I was emailing her a couple of months back, and
She actually wrote a piece. I do these little interviews on my site where I used to a while ago. She did one for me. She's really nice.
No, she is a lovely, lovely lady.
Yeah, so we don't want anyone to think this is a podcast just for blokes in England. It's not. No matter where in the world you are, if you like Colin was on last night, it was 8 o'clock in the morning.
Maybe you're a prostitute.
Absolutely.
8 o'clock in the morning for Colin, and he come on, and we got someone coming from Australia. So don't think just because you're in the far-flung parts of the world that you won't be included or anything like that, or if you're male or female. If you're animals, then unless we have Dr. Dolittle on, that may be a stretch too far.
Yeah, and the other thing is, even if you can't make the main podcast itself because of time issues, me and Danny are always willing to do a little piece that can be included in or around the show, or maybe as a little mini pod before a game. So very much like what we did last night with Colin.
Yeah, if it's relevant and you're far away, then then maybe we can get something done.
Right, John, your shout-outs, please.
I have two. First one is Arsenal Vision. Mean Lean. He runs the arsenalvision.co.uk site. Real informative. Has some great blogs in there. And the other one is Invinciblog. He's the co-owner, I believe, of Gunnerstown, and he has some really great blogs specifically about Suarez. So I'd tell the listeners to go check both of them out.
Definitely.
Can I just add a little something there? I don't mean to step on anyone's toes, but I was just going to second John's call from Mean Lean, who is one of the people that's been a massive help to me as well. And I've had the honour of actually having a short guest column on his site. So I'd just like to second that he's a really good follow, and everyone should go follow him. He's top fellow.
Definitely. And finally, over to you, Danny. And I know amongst your shout-outs, you've got news of a fantasy football league that we're doing.
Certainly have. First shout-out is to @COLM_SMYTH. That's Colin from our man in Japan. Thank you very much, Colin, for joining us at such short notice. And someone that everybody might know of, Herbert Chapman's Bust, who is @bust_of_Chapman. Happy wedding anniversary, my old fruit. Hope you have a lovely day. I think that's actually today that is the anniversary.
Yes, he's a lovely, lovely man. Best of luck to him.
Yeah, and we are doing the official FA Premier League. They're doing a fantasy football thing. It's free to do, free to join up, free for everything. And we launched it last night about 9 o'clock. We've had 388 people join it. And the winner of the podcast, if you can prove, winner of the podcast, winner of that league at the end of the season, if you can prove you're an Arsenal fan, we don't want any silly, sneaky Man United or Spurs fans trying to get on, you will get a guest pod position. You'll be on as a guest, and
like me,
yeah. And you might even be able to pick who you come on with. That all depends on whether people pull out or whether we've all been abducted by aliens.
I think that depends on what we've got, because we've got the regular members in Jeff, GC from She-War, Steve, Lord Hillwood, we've got FK and John. What they can decide is they have Danny as the button monkey, me as the host. They can come on themselves and they can pick two from those guys who they'd like to come on the podcast with.
But only if they're an Arsenal fan, so that we'd have to see their account and make sure, because we don't want to have anyone.
We don't want no one from that shit up the road.
No, we don't. Yes,
we don't take the strangers round these parts, do we?
No, you run them over.
Yes,
Well, you can put that down as a caveat. If they fuck you around, I'm gonna run them down.
your lovely Rover. Make sure it's not a fat bird, though.
Can you put a picture of my Rover on your website as well? Because I think it's going to become more famous than I am.
Well,
I think it's too classy a vehicle to go on our website.
Yeah, people will be blinded by its beauty and its majesty.
Well,
it would detract from the graphics.
You might get your own trading card, and if you do, you'll have the opportunity to put it on there. But they're going to want your Beckham-ish good looks on there. So, yeah.
I would like to state categorically for the record that any women listening to this podcast thinking that, oh, he's going to look like David Beckham, I really don't.
You're very.
I look like a drug-addled David Beckham in his late 50s.
David Beckham on crack.
Yeah. David Beckham.
I'd just like to do a quick shout out. Before we came on tonight, I just put what I normally do, who would like my shout out for tonight. And so I would say winner, but it's not really a prize. But the person that got it is Highbury Finn, and that is Highbury, as you all know and love it, with Fin on it. So a big hello to him. Hello. So there's nothing left for me to do than thank you guys, Danny, John, FK, and James.
You're welcome.
So that was a Bergkamp Wonderland podcast. Thank you very much for listening, and keep it Arsenal. Good night.
Thank you for listening, you beautiful bastards.
Nanu, cheeky monkeys.